Guys, CAF has rules. CAF has rules. We've all watched CAF football. We all know what they are. It's not the flashier, more dominant, ball possession playing team that wins. Most of the time. If you are the dominant team and you don't take your chances or take your opportunities to create the chances to score the goals, you will probably draw or lose that game. The team that looks uglier in African CAF football is usually the team that upsets a person. Second halves are always different in CAF Champions League football, in CAF Confed football, even in the AFCON football, the AFCON sense of the game. What we saw today was a Pirates team that was far and away the better team. They were way better. Guys, Stade Abidjan couldn't organize their defense. They didn't have a midfield. Stade Abidjan were falling over themselves at the back. The defense was so far back that when they were under pressure, they were basically standing in line with their goalkeeper, essentially. There was a lot that Stade Abidjan did wrong. When they were in attack, they were committing 5 players, they couldn't trap a ball, they couldn't make the right decisions. But Pirates couldn't capitalize. Pirates couldn't capitalize on the fact that Mofokeng, 1v1 versus a defender, is one of the best. He puts them into a spin dryer, got the penalty. They couldn't take advantage of the fact that Stade Abidjan couldn't even track runners. If you watch a lot of Pirates' chances, it was a wide player who dragged the left back. Then it was a Pirates player just making a run directly in behind. And there was nobody tracking them, not the centre back, not the midfielder. And they were so ill-disciplined with their line of defense that that player would be onside almost all the time. But, you know, at times you tend to play down to your opposition's level. I want to be fair to them. Maybe it's the heat, maybe it's the humidity, maybe they're not used to this. But they were playing down to the level. And Pirates started treating this game like it was a training game that they had in the bag they were going to win, and that they didn't need any effort. Nkota was missing this game. Tried to come back early in the second half, couldn't quite get there. Bata was missing in this game, and it's another game where he's not quite there. He hasn't been there. Mofokeng is not a 10. So him going to the 10 position really takes him out of the game as well. And then you have Mahopa, who, for all of his height and physique and all of that stuff, why is he on the wing? You had Uhoto, who was moonlighting on both sides of the pitch. Sometimes he'd be on the right-hand side, and when he was on the right-hand side, he was suffocating Nkota. Nkota didn't know where to go, what spaces to take up. When he was on the left-hand side, it felt like he wasn't even there because Umako was under so much pressure at times during this game. But what often happens in Champions League games happened here. And maybe our idea of what Pirates' dominance was in this game was not real. The possession was 56-54. Pirates had 9 attempts, 3 on target. This team, that side, Abidjan, had 3 shots, none on target. So for all of the dominance we speak about Pirates, it didn't show up in the stats. In the second half, Pirates came out and again, didn't quite come to the party. And Abidjan started building their confidence. If you could see, Pirates' midfield was always behind. They were always a step behind. And Abidjan started playing the ball through those gaps. Guys, Mofokeng, in as much as we want him to be the most incredible player and we're pushing for him and there's the Barker stuff and all of that, you cannot ask that player, who's still young, to be the lead of a midfield that has Talente Mbaten Makaula. Talente, for some reason, has switched off, but he's also a newish player, you would say. Makaula, experience and all of that stuff, but can't play the ball up. Can't do those linking type of actions. So that means that falls on that 10. And I think this is where you see that Utito is really missed in the middle because, as I've always said, Utito, for me, is the most important player at Pirates because he's the guy who tells Pirates when to up the tempo, when to come back down. Hey, Gunzima, right now we're not getting the foot on the ball. It's just to calm everybody down, then we can start playing our passes. Oh, let's pace up and try kill them. This game felt like a Saleng game to me, because Saleng has that drive to always want to go score and run at teams and do all of that. He's got that ability, and if that team was playing that type of offside trap, or the line was off, Saleng could have taken advantage of it. I would love to see Tim play some of these games. If you're going to play Mofokeng at 10, Tim must come in and be the leader of the midfield. Pirates lacked a leader in the middle. Mofokeng, of course, looked better when he was out wide. And for those who will say that he's playing badly, no, this is what he does. A lot of what happened last season was that he was covered. He was covered by Tito. Tito used to love coming onto the left-hand side and playing with him. Or they'd push up Hoto and overload the right back. So that when he was quiet and he was not in the game, other players were kind of taking over. But now when you put him in the position where he's the leader, it's an issue. Guys, I don't know how many times I'm going to speak about Makgopa as a striker. Makgopa is a target man. Makgopa is a physical piece that you put into the game so that you can play a long ball straight up the pitch. He can win the first ball, and then that's how you get the ball up the pitch if you have Makgopa playing. Makgopa is not a winger. He loses balls there. If you want to see Makgopa score, it has to be in a situation where everybody's facing the goal and you're putting it into that space between the defense and the goalkeeper. That is where Makgopa is the best. Now, bafana, he doesn't score a lot. But what he does is it allows them to bypass. So excuse me when I saw Abo Chains in the second half start playing long balls to Makaula. Makaula was trying to win long straight balls when you have not played that football, when evidence was not there. When evidence was there, you didn't play that football. Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abo Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There's a lot of things I don't understand, but what's scaring me now about Pirates, to be honest with you, was something that I had praised them for in the beginning of the season. I praised them for becoming a more business-like team. You come out, the aim is not to sweat, you score your goal, you go home. You come out, even though the other team is playing and they're putting together, they look up, it's 2-0, you've scored somehow. You don't have a straight way of scoring. I don't know what Pirates' tactic for scoring is over the last 5 games, but you come out and you do that thing. But what happens when you can't do it? Can Mofokeng survive without having the ball and having those one-on-ones and take-ons and doing what he normally does? Can you switch it back on when it's games like Stade? See, in the second half, Stade started being a little bit more progressive. They were a little bit more creative. They built some confidence. They started Ugultunga. And they looked better than Pirates at some places. Or at the very least, they looked like an equal team. Very different to the first half. Another rule of CAF football. Second half is always different. And Coach Jose made some changes where he brought in Abo Rasibucha, he brought in Abo Mabasa, he brought in those guys, but did not address still the problem. How is the ball going to get from Chain to Mofokeng? You can't play it long in Africa, they swallow that up. Rasibucha had some moments, but he didn't give us anything. Umavuvu Kimvuyudi, we're still not quite sure what position he plays. And because it became an open game, it started becoming ping pong. And ping pong is very dangerous. Tennis, very dangerous in Africa because anything can happen on any side. You guys can score 3 goals or the other team can score 1 and go home. This team that had not played well the whole game long popped a cross in, far post, was knocked back in, goal. Now it's 1-1. And you look at it and you go, wow, Pirates. Now you can be positive and say that, look, Pirates has a win and 2 draws. That's good enough a lot of the times at this point. They've got the 5 points, they're on top. But I just want to remind the Pirates of something that maybe has held South African teams back. Ahly doesn't win because they're beautiful. They don't win because they dominate games. They don't win because they've got the best of the best players. They win because when they go to Pirates, and they can see that it's going to be a tough game for Orlando, we take our draw, we go home. When they get into the knockouts and they're playing against the Pirates, they watch you. Do your things. Bahushapaka 1 goal, they go home. If you don't take your chances or if you don't take your opportunities, you're going to be hurt. And not even looking at the knockout stages, these smaller nyana teams that we feel are smaller nyana, they're dangerous. They're the ones. They've now got a point out of nowhere. They do not play in this game, but they're keeping a point. You could see how happy they are at the end because they understood that their backs were against the wall. They were not the team. But I think what Coach Jose is going to have to give to his team is also a mentality. Today we saw a Paris team that came against a small team, and we saw Disciples again. The first leg versus Disciples, when Pirates didn't quite show up. Better team didn't quite show up until the stakes were high. And dare I say it, I do not want to see Pirates go back to the Pirates of old that is a occasion team that plays when they're playing the big teams. But when they have to go play the smaller guys that don't matter in a stadium that doesn't have any fans, versus people that they're better than, that they switch off and start playing at that level. You know, there was so much space just in the front of that defense, and why sometimes I don't understand the tactics sometimes. The Stade Abidjan defense, there was a space right in front of them because they didn't have a CDM really. But Pirates kept either trying to go wide or trying to play these Hollywood passes. The team is already retreating. They're sitting by their goalkeeper. Why would you make it easier for them to get that ball? Play that ball down the middle. Hoto got a chance. There was plenty of times when Bata was standing right there. He's good at shooting. Mofokeng is good at shooting. Nkota's scored a couple of those goals. Why make it difficult for yourself? I think Pirates really threw this game away. But I guess you could also argue, good point away. They didn't lose away. They live to fight another day, but I think the holes are starting to show. And I think Coach Jose is going to have to figure out a way to get his team scoring again. And scoring actual goals. Even today was a penalty. Versus Stellenbosch, they couldn't really create. So he needs to find a way to get his players back on side, back scoring, back playing. Because whatever they were doing at the beginning of the season, where they were on the line, where they were playing a balancing act. They're no longer in balance. Now maybe we need to see that Pirates of last year that overwhelms teams on counters, that overwhelms teams in transition, come back in just so that they can get the goals back. Because I worry if Mofokeng will be able to switch it on later on. I worry if Abonkota, when it matters most, will be able to switch it on when it matters most. And up here, Pirates, you can't take games for granted. You can't take people for granted. You can't take points for granted. If a team is there to be taken advantage of, take advantage. This team was beaten 4-2 by Ahly because Ahly almost understands, they're business-like in their approach, and that, okay, if we can take advantage, we have to take as much advantage, because even them, they conceded 2 goals. You have to stretch that advantage as far as you can. So let's see what Pirates is going to do. A little bit disappointed in them today, but like I said, it is a point away from home. So maybe that's the bright light that they have. But Coach Jose, you have a lot to fix. I'll see you guys on the next one.